She wasn't taking no shit off Marina Mabry at all.
There's a smile on her face. I have not
At
seen
all.
her interact.
She was not having it. Yeah. How do you deal with a bully? You get in her face. That's how you deal with a bully right there. I dare you. Do it. I dare you. What do you...
That right there changed the temperature of the entire game. Kelsey Mitchell did not retreat, did not look for somebody else to handle it. And the bigger question is what that edge unlocked for Indiana when this game started getting uncomfortable.
Booed by the woke Toronto Tempo fans. Oh, wah. Sophie burned them to the ground with some clutch three-pointers tonight. Let's just start right here. 101-95. The Tempo came on in the fourth. 26-20 in the fourth for the Tempo.
Right there. That's the moment everything shifted. Kelsey Mitchell wasn't hiding, wasn't passing the pressure off to someone else. She stepped up and owned it. And that raises the real question. What did that kind of confidence open up for Indiana once the game got tight?
I liked what I saw from Kelsey Mitchell tonight. I like that grit. I like that fire. I like that anger. I like her showing her ass. Good job. Good job, Kelsey Mitchell. 24 minutes, 29 points for Kelsey. 11 of 16, 4 of 6 from three-point range.
Toronto made sure things got heated. Fans were riding Sophie Cunningham hard. The arena had real energy, and the Tempo weren't backing down, taking the fourth quarter 26-20 before Indiana finally pulled it out 101-95. Make no mistake, this wasn't a walk in the park where the Fever just showed up and coasted. What really stands out is how many things went wrong for Indiana at once. Caitlin Clark heated up, then turned careless with the ball. Cunningham had a rowdy crowd in her ear. Mitchell got tangled up with Marina Mabry, and Toronto simply refused to go away, turning every small slip into a bigger problem. That's the real story behind that 6-point final score. It hides more than it shows. Before Indiana could even think about beating Toronto, they had to beat their own chaos. And stick around, because there's one coaching call involving Clark worth digging into. Depending on how you look at it, Stephanie White either saved the game, or she cooled down her star at the worst possible time.
What are you going to do? Marina Mabry, you ain't going to do nothing. Yeah, I'm right here. Kelsey was not having it. I mean, I like it. I like that from Kelsey Mitchell. That's as fired up as I've been all year long and Kelsey's had a hell of a year. I mean, she is maybe the most dynamic scorer in the league. But I like that kind of fire. I like that kind of, she did not let Marina...
Let's start with the numbers, because once you see them, the fire she played with makes total sense. 29 points, just 24 minutes on the floor, 11, 4, 16 shooting, 4, 4, 6 from deep. That's not someone scraping by and then getting emotional to cover for it. That's someone taking control and playing like she already knew Toronto had no answer for her. There's a real difference between fake toughness and actual competitive fire. If a player's missing shots, getting beat on defense, and then trying to look tough afterward, that's not something worth praising. Mitchell was the total opposite of that. Her play backed up her energy, and that's huge for Indiana, because there will be nights when defenses throw everything at Clark, make every touch a fight, every possession physical. The Fever can't afford to be a team that just waits on Clark to bail them out. Mitchell proving she can carry the scoring load changes everything about how this offense works. Scoring 29 in 24 minutes is ridiculous efficiency. It means Toronto couldn't afford a single slip-up against her. Help off her to guard Clark. She makes you pay. Lose her on a screen. She's gone. Get her rolling early. And now every defensive possession is a trap. Pick your poison. That's the biggest lesson from this game. Indiana didn't need a perfect night from Clark because Mitchell was lights out.
Just that quick. No shit. Caitlin Clark knocking them down in the third.
Like a moon boot.
Yeah.
People who remember those.
Right here. Out. Boom. Knocks it down. Coming back down the court. Passes it to Aaliyah Boston. Way downtown. Booyaka. Yeah. Knocked it down. Good stuff from Caitlin.
Now line that production up against what you actually saw on the court. That dust-up with Marina Mabrey wasn't about drama for drama's sake. It mattered because Mitchell made it clear she wasn't giving up control of the game's energy to anyone. Look at how she carried herself. The smile, the refusal to flinch. Nobody had to throw a punch or lose their cool for the point to land. The message was already sent. Indiana wasn't going to be rattled. For a team still figuring out who they are, moments like that can mean more than people realize. Every great team eventually gets a reputation. Some teams bury you with size. Some choke you out on defense. Some just keep grinding no matter how messy things get. Indiana's got too much talent for their whole identity to be Clark makes highlight passes and everyone else stands around. Mitchell added something new to that mix, grit. And that matters even more on the road, where every little thing gets magnified. A routine turnover feels like a disaster. A hard foul gets the crowd roaring. A confrontation gets spun the home team's way. If your players start playing off the crowd's emotions instead of the game itself, that's how you lose control fast. Mitchell did the opposite. She fed off it instead. There's a basketball reason this matters too. Physical teams are always probing for weakness. If they sense contact throws off your rhythm, they'll keep piling it on. If they think trash talk gets in your head, they'll keep doing that too. You don't need some big blow-up to shut it down. You just need to show it isn't working. Mitchell's answer was buckets first, attitude second. And that order is everything.
Minutes, 24 points, 4 of 9 from three-point range, 7 assists, 3 rebounds. Did have those 7 turnovers, and man, those turnovers hurt. Because I think she was getting ready to... She had hit 2 or 3 three-pointers in a row. And I was like, oh, shit. She's finna go off for 15 or 18 points in this quarter. And when she turned the ball over...
Here's the thing nobody's talking about. Indiana didn't win this game because everything went right. They won because almost everything went wrong at the exact same time. And somehow they found a way through anyway. Let's rewind to the third quarter, because that's where this story really starts. Caitlin Clark caught fire from deep, and you could feel the whole building shift when those threes started dropping. This is the version of Clark that keeps defensive coordinators up at night. 1 3 becomes 2. Her range stretches out even further, and suddenly the defense's spacing plan means nothing. By the end of the night, she'd put up 24 points, 7 assists, and knocked down 4 threes. But the numbers alone don't tell you what that stretch actually felt like. Once Clark gets going, one possession has a way of snowballing into a run all on its own, and that's what makes guarding her a nightmare. A normal shooter hits a 3, you shrug it off. Clark hits 1, and now the defender covering her has to step out further, which opens a driving lane, which opens a passing window, which changes the next 3 possessions before she even shoots the ball again. And here's what made this stretch even scarier for Toronto. Kelsey Mitchell was rolling at the exact same time. While Clark was stretching the defense out wide, Mitchell was attacking downhill. Toronto couldn't load up on one threat without leaving the other wide open. That's the offense Indiana's chasing all season. Not one superstar carrying 4 passengers, but multiple scorers putting the defense in a no-win situation. But right as Clark looked ready to blow the game open, the same aggressive playmaking that was creating all that magic started producing turnovers. And on the road, that's the one thing that can flip momentum in a heartbeat. 7 turnovers on the night. Put that number right next to the 24 points and 7 assists, because both sides of Clark's game showed up in the same 15 minutes. She was dangerous enough to bend Toronto's entire defense out of shape, but careless enough with the ball to hand Toronto extra chances. Now, not every turnover means the same thing. A player who creates as much as Clark does is going to cough it up sometimes. You can't ask for elite playmaking and zero risk in the same breath. Those two things pull against each other. The real question is whether a mistake comes from trying to create something special or from a possession just slipping away. But when turnovers start stacking up back-to-back, coaches don't sit there analyzing the season-long philosophy. They react to the pattern in front of them. And that's exactly what happened here. Here's the tricky part. Clark wasn't struggling. She wasn't cold. She was locked in, hitting shots. And that's precisely what made Stephanie White's decision so uncomfortable. Leave your hottest scorer out there and live with the turnover risk, or pull her before those loose possessions turn into a Toronto run. Fans get to judge that call after they've seen how it played out. Coaches have to make the call before they know anything. And that's really where this gets interesting, because it's not as simple as saying White got it right or got it wrong. The frustration was obvious in the moment. Clark was shooting the ball beautifully in that third quarter, the turnovers piled up in a hurry, and White sat her down. If you didn't like that decision, the logic is easy to understand. When a player with Clark's shooting range starts seeing the rim like that, you don't just casually shut it off. Those hot stretches don't come around whenever you want them to. You might wait 10 more minutes and never get that same feeling back. A shooter that hot isn't just scoring points. She's forcing the other team to change their entire defensive plan on the fly. Trap her higher. Switch more. Send extra help. Every single adjustment opens up something else on the floor. So from that angle, benching Clark handed Toronto a breather they hadn't earned themselves. But White's side of the argument holds up too. 3 sloppy possessions in a row can erase a scoring outburst just as fast as it happened. Clark drills a 3, but then Indiana gifts Toronto back-to-back transition buckets, and suddenly that whole burst is gone. Coaches also need their players to understand that offensive freedom doesn't come with a free pass on accountability. That balance gets especially delicate with a talent like Clark, because the last thing you want is caution killing off the exact thing that makes her special. Nobody drafted her to become a point guard who only makes the safe pass. The creativity is the whole point. The real coaching job is trimming the mistakes without trimming the imagination behind them. And maybe that's the fairer way to judge this. Don't ask whether Clark should ever be corrected. Of course she should. Every player gets corrected. Ask whether the correction made the next stretch of basketball better without stripping away the boldness that makes her elite. Those are 2 very different standards. And you can't judge her whole night off the turnover column anyway. Not after watching her take a shot to the face mid-possession and still finish the play. That single sequence tells you everything about the environment Indiana was playing in. This wasn't some clean shooting drill. Toronto was physical, the crowd was locked in, and Clark had to keep making split-second reads while absorbing contact the whole way through. When defenders are crowding the ball, bumping cutters, and clogging passing lanes, the gap between a brilliant read and a turnover shrinks fast. Clark lives right on that edge because she attempts passes most players don't even see. Some nights that's 7 assists. Some nights it's 7 turnovers. Often, it's both in the same game. Indiana's long-term ceiling depends on tilting that ratio the right way, without ever making Clark scared of the very passes that make this team different. That's not something one benching in Toronto solves. It's an ongoing conversation between player and coach. The good news: on a night when that balance wasn't perfect, the rest of the roster showed up big enough to cover for it. Take Sophie Cunningham, 13 points, a perfect 3-4, 3 from beyond the arc, all while getting booed relentlessly by the home crowd, even at the free throw line. Whether you think the boos were fair or not, her response was exactly what this team needed. She didn't need to win an argument with an entire arena. She just needed to make shots, and she did. Road crowds always want to feel like they're part of the defense, and sometimes they actually are. Players rush their free throws. Communication gets tougher. Every swing and momentum feels bigger than it is. The fastest way to shut a crowd up isn't a statement. It's a bucket. And Cunningham's efficiency does more than pad a stat sheet. It forces the defender guarding her to stay honest instead of cheating into Clark's driving lane. That extra half step matters more than people realize. Marina Mabrey put up 22 points for Toronto, proving this expansion team had no interest in just being competitive for competition's sake. Temi Fagbenel added 13, bringing length and mobility that quietly disrupts passing lanes without slowing anything down. Exactly the kind of matchup problem that makes life harder for a playmaker like Clark. Toronto put up 26 points in the fourth quarter alone. This wasn't a team that folded. Indiana had to fight for every inch of this win. And then there's Michaela Timpson, 8 points on a perfect 4 shooting, 7 rebounds, 2 steals. That's the kind of stat line that wins games quietly. She didn't need 15 shots to matter. Efficient finishing, rebounding, and defensive disruption. That's a formula that travels no matter what the shooting numbers look like on a given night. So what did this game actually prove? Not that Clark can hit deep shots. Everyone already knew that. Not that Mitchell can score in bunches. Her whole season already told us that. What this game revealed is what happens when everything goes sideways at once. Clark turned it over repeatedly, and got pulled while she was hot. Toronto won the fourth quarter outright. Cunningham dealt with a hostile crowd all night. Mitchell got tangled up in a confrontation. And somehow, Indiana still found enough separate sources of production to close the door. That's the real difference between a talented team and a resilient one. Talented teams look unstoppable when the plan works. Resilient teams find a way to win when the plan falls apart. So here's the real question heading forward. Not whether Clark should have stayed on the floor during that hot third quarter stretch, because that debate depends entirely on what you value more, rhythm or ball security. The bigger question is what kind of team Indiana becomes on nights when Clark isn't allowed to be perfect. Because this game just gave us a preview of the answer. So tell me, which moment mattered more to you? Stephanie White pulling a red-hot Clark because the turnovers were piling up, or Kelsey Mitchell proving Indiana has a second scorer who can take over when things get messy? Drop your take in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns that cut through the noise and get straight to what actually happened on the court, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more.